father died on a rainy Tuesday in October. At least, that's what everyone told me. I remember standing beside his grave that day. The sky was heavy, like it couldn't hold its own weight anymore. People spoke softly, like louder words might wake something up. And then it was over. The casket lowered into the ground, dirt hitting wood. My father was gone. For 2 years, I tried to accept it, tried to move on, tried to live like nothing was missing. But there are some losses that never fully leave you. Some nights, I still caught myself reaching for my phone, thinking I'd call him, just to hear his voice again. Until the night everything changed. It was 11:47 p.m. when my phone rang. I almost didn't look at it. Unknown numbers were normal. Spam calls, robocalls. But something made me pick it up. The moment I saw the caller ID, my entire body went cold. It wasn't unknown. It was a number I knew. A number I had memorized since I was a kid. My father's phone. The same phone that had been buried with him. I stared at it, frozen, my thumb hovering over the answer button. My mind told me it had to be a mistake, a glitch, a prank, but my hand still pressed answer. For a moment, there was nothing, just static, low, crackling, like the sound of an old radio struggling to find a signal. Then the static shifted, and I heard it, a voice, low, weak, familiar. Son. I couldn't breathe. My grip tightened around the phone. That voice, I would recognize it anywhere. It was him, my father. He sounded like he was far away, like he was trapped inside something. Then he spoke again. Don't let them find the key. My heart slammed against my chest. That Dad? I whispered. But the line went dead. Silence. I pulled the phone away slowly, staring at the screen. Call ended. No number, no history, nothing. Just like it never happened. But I knew what I heard. And I knew one thing for sure. My father's phone was supposed to be buried 6 feet under the ground. So why did it just call me? And more importantly, who was buried in his place?
I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there staring at my phone like it might ring again at any second. Every sound in the house felt louder than normal. The fridge clicking, the pipes shifting. Even the wind outside sounded different, sharper. At 3:12 a.m., I finally tried calling my father's number back. It rang once, then twice, then stopped. Disconnected. I tried again. Same thing. No voice, no voicemail, nothing. Just emptiness. That's when doubt started creeping in. Maybe I imagined it. Grief does strange things to the mind. People hear voices, see things, fill in gaps that aren't really there. I told myself that's what this was, until morning came. I drove to the cemetery. I don't even remember deciding to go. I just found myself there, parked outside the gates before sunrise. The place felt different in daylight. Too quiet, too still, like the world was holding its breath. I walked straight to his grave. The headstone was exactly how I remembered it. Name, date, everything in place. But something bothered me immediately. The dirt, it didn't look right. The soil around it wasn't as settled as it should have been, like it had been disturbed. Recently, I crouched down, running my fingers over the ground. Cold, loose in some spots. That shouldn't happen after 2 years. A voice behind me made me jump. Visiting someone? I turned fast. An older groundskeeper stood a few feet away, leaning on a shovel. I nodded slowly. My father. He looked at the grave, then back at me. Something in his face changed for a second, like he recognized something he didn't want to admit. How long has he been here, he asked. 2 years, I said. He frowned, then shook his head slightly. That's strange. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? He hesitated, then pointed down at the grave. This plot wasn't reopened. My throat went dry. What? He shifted uncomfortably. No record of disturbance. No maintenance. No reason for the soil to look like that. He paused again, then said something that didn't make sense. As far as the cemetery records show, nothing has been touched here since the day he was buried. I looked down at the ground again. My chest felt tight, because I had felt it too. Something was wrong. And then my phone buzzed in my pocket. Once. A new notification. A no number. No caller ID. Just a single voice message. I didn't press play right away. I just stared at it, because I already knew it wasn't going to be empty this time. My finger hovered over the voice message for a long time. The cemetery felt quieter than before, like even the wind didn't want to move too loudly. The groundskeeper had walked away, but I could still feel his words sitting in my head. Nothing has been touched here since the day he was buried. That didn't make sense. It didn't match what I heard. It didn't match what called me last night. My phone buzzed again in my hand. Same unknown number. No name, no ID. Just a voice message sitting there like it had always been waiting for me. I pressed play. At first, nothing. Then static, low, broken, familiar. And then a voice came through. Ethan. My stomach dropped. It knew my name. I stepped away from the grave without realizing it, my feet moving on their own. The voice continued, weaker this time. If you're hearing this, don't trust anyone near the cemetery. My breath caught. Dad? I whispered again like it would somehow answer me directly. But the message kept going. Don't let them know you've heard me. A pause, then something worse. A sound in the background. Not wind, not static. Voices, muffled, distant. Like someone else was in the same place the recording was made. Then my father's voice came back, sharper now. They think I'm gone, but I'm not where they left me. The message cut out. Silence again. I stood there staring at my phone, trying to force logic into it, but nothing fit. My father was dead, buried, 2 years ago, and yet somehow, he was warning me about people watching me right now. I looked around the cemetery. For the first time, it didn't feel empty. It felt watched, like something was between the trees, or behind the stones, or closer. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Same number, but this time I didn't press play immediately, because I noticed something different. The message wasn't labeled as new. It was labeled, received. 2 years ago, my heart stopped. That wasn't possible. I opened it again. Same voice message, same timestamp, same recording. But I had just received it 5 seconds ago. My hands started shaking. I looked back at the grave, and for the first time since this all started, I stopped asking if my father was calling me and started asking who was sending it. I left the cemetery faster than I should have. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone twice trying to unlock my car. That timestamp kept replaying in my head. Received. 2 years ago. That didn't make sense. I drove home without thinking, just reacting. Every stoplight felt too long. Every car beside me felt like it was following the same pattern. When I got inside, I locked the door behind me and checked the phone again. The message was still there. Still marked 2 years ago. Still impossible. I pulled up my call history next. Nothing from last night. No incoming call. No outgoing call. Nothing. But I remembered it. Clear as day. The ring, the number. My father's voice. I sat down on the couch and tried to think logically. Maybe the phone glitched. Maybe the carrier had a delay. Maybe grief really was messing with my head more than I realized. Then my phone buzzed again. I flinched so hard it nearly fell out of my hand. Unknown number. Another voice message. I didn't want to press it, but I did. Static. Then my father's voice again. But this time, it was different. More urgent. Ethan, they're going to erase everything you find. My throat tightened. What am I supposed to find? I whispered. The recording continued. There's a reason I hit it. A long pause. Then a phrase that didn't make sense yet. The key isn't something you hold. It's something you locate. A faint sound came through the audio. Footsteps. Slow, controlled. Like someone walking near the recording device. Then another voice. Not my father's. Oh, unfamiliar. He's getting close. The recording ended abruptly. I froze. There were other people in that message. People my father never mentioned. People who sounded like they were still around. I stood up and started pacing. If this was fake, it was too detailed, too intentional, too personal. I grabbed my laptop and searched my father's name. At first, nothing unusual came up. Then I noticed something strange. A gap. A missing year in public records. A section that looked like it had been wiped clean. Not deleted. Hidden. My chest tightened as I clicked deeper. And that's when I found it. A sealed report. Connected to my father. And a missing person case from 23 years ago. Same location. Same town. Same pattern. My father wasn't just a mechanic. He had been involved in something long before I was born. Something someone had tried very hard to erase. My phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a message. It was a call. Unknown number. 1 ring. 2 rings. I stared at it. Because I already knew what I was going to hear. And this time, I wasn't sure I wanted to answer. The phone kept ringing. Once, twice, 3 times. I should have let it go to voicemail, but my hand moved on its own. I answered. Nothing. Just breathing. Slow, controlled. Like whoever was on the other end already knew I'd pick up. Then a voice spoke. Not my father this time. A different voice. Cold. Calm. You shouldn't be looking into this, Ethan. My chest tightened. Who is this? I asked. Silence. Then a soft exhale, like they were standing right next to me. That file was closed for a reason. My mind flashed back to the search results, the missing year, the sealed report, the case tied to my father. What file? I said, even though I already knew. The voice didn't answer directly. Instead, it said something that made my stomach drop. Your father wasn't supposed to remember what he found. My grip tightened on the phone. You're lying, I said. A pause. Then, he hid something. And now you're close to it. The call suddenly cut. Dead silence again. I stared at the screen. No call log, no record. Just like before. Like the conversation never happened. I stood up and started digging through my father's old belongings. The garage. Boxes I hadn't touched in years. Old tools. Receipts. Worn-out notebooks filled with his handwriting. At first, nothing useful. Then I found something odd. A folder, tucked behind an old toolbox like it had been intentionally hidden. My hands slowed as I opened it. Inside were photographs, not family photos, not work photos. Old, grainy images of places I didn't recognize. Abandoned buildings, a wooded area near the edge of town, and one photo that made my stomach turn. A group of people standing in front of what looked like a sealed underground entrance. My father was in the photo, but he looked younger, different, like someone I didn't fully know. There was writing on the back of the photo, faded, barely readable, but I made out 3 words. Do not dig. My heart started pounding harder. I flipped through the rest and found something worse. A handwritten note. Short. Urgent. It said, if you're reading this, they already found me. I dropped the folder slightly, because behind it, taped to the inside of the box, was a small label, a number, a location, and a name. It wasn't my father's. It was mine. My phone buzzed again, but this time I didn't look at it right away, because I already knew what it would say. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I was being contacted or being tracked. I stared at the label for what felt like forever. My name, not my father's, not a family member's, mine, written in black ink that had faded with age. The handwriting was unmistakable. It was my father's. A chill ran through me, because this box had been hidden years before he died, maybe even decades. So how could he have known I would be the one to find it? My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. A text message. Unknown number. Only 4 words. Don't go there alone. That was it. No explanation. No signature. No clue who sent it. I looked back at the label. Beneath my name was an address. An old storage facility on the outskirts of town. One I vaguely remembered passing as a kid. Most people thought it had closed years ago. I grabbed my keys and left immediately. The entire drive felt wrong. The farther I got from town, the emptier the roads became. Trees crowded both sides of the highway. The sky was turning gray, rain clouds gathering overhead. By the time I reached the storage facility, the first drops had started falling. The place looked abandoned. Rust covered the gates. Weeds pushed through cracks in the pavement. Most of the unit doors were hanging crooked or partially collapsed. It felt less like a business and more like a graveyard. I checked the label again. Unit 117, near the back. I walked slowly through the rows. Every footstep echoed. Every shadow seemed deeper than it should have been. Then I found it. Unit 117. Unlike the others, it wasn't damaged. It was locked, and hanging from the handle was something that made my blood run cold. A fresh padlock. Not rusted. Not old. New. Someone had been here recently. Very recently. My phone vibrated. Another voice message. I pressed play. Static. Then my father's voice. Clearer than ever before. Ethan, if you're standing in front of the locker, listen carefully. My heart nearly stopped. He knew. Somehow he knew exactly where I would be. The truth isn't inside the locker. I frowned. Then why send me here? A long pause filled the recording. Then he answered. What's inside will tell you who took it. Thunder rolled across the sky. The recording continued. And if the lock is new? His voice hesitated. For the first time, he sounded afraid. Then you're already too late. The message ended. I slowly lowered the phone. That's when I heard it. A metallic click. Behind me. I turned and froze. Someone was standing at the end of the row, watching me. They didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there in the rain. as if they'd been waiting for me to arrive. The figure stood motionless at the end of the row. Rain fell harder now, drumming against the metal storage units. For a moment, neither of us moved. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it over the storm. The person was too far away to make out clearly. A dark jacket, a hood pulled low, hands in their pockets, just standing there, watching. I took a cautious step forward. The figure didn't react. Another step. Still nothing. Then my phone buzzed. The sudden vibration nearly made me jump. A new text. Unknown number. I looked down. Only 3 words. Don't approach him. I looked back up immediately. The figure was gone. My stomach dropped. There was nowhere he could have disappeared that fast. 1 second he was there. The next, the row was empty. Just rain and shadows. I rushed forward anyway. By the time I reached the spot, there was nobody. No footprints. No vehicle. Nothing. But something had been left behind. A small black envelope lying in the middle of the wet pavement. I stared at it. Every instinct told me to leave it alone. Instead, I picked it up. My name was written across the front. Ethan. Same handwriting as the label inside my father's box. I tore it open. Inside was a photograph. Old. Folded. Weathered by time. The moment I unfolded it, my blood ran cold. It showed my father standing beside 3 other men. All of them staring directly at the camera. All of them wearing the same expression. Fear. Not one of them looked happy. Not one of them looked safe. Written across the back were 6 words. Only one of us survived. A bolt of lightning flashed across the sky. I turned the photo over again. There was something else. A date. 23 years ago. The exact same year tied to the missing person case. My father had been connected to those men. And according to the photo, 3 of them were dead. Or missing. My phone buzzed again. Another voice message. I hit play immediately. Static crackled through the speaker. Then my father's voice. Ethan, they're watching the locker. I glanced around the storage yard. Every shadow suddenly felt alive. The voice continued. Don't waste time opening it. My pulse quickened. Find the office. The office? I looked toward the front entrance. The old management building sat dark and abandoned. Windows boarded. Door hanging slightly open. Then my father's voice lowered, almost to a whisper. The real key was never in the locker. A pause. The office is where they made the mistake. The recording cut out. I stared toward the building. Rain pouring, thunder shaking the sky. Something was hidden in that office. Something important enough for my father to leave clues from beyond the grave. Then I noticed movement. A light. Inside the abandoned building. Someone was already there, and they knew I was coming. The light flickered behind the dusty office window, just once. Then it disappeared. I stood frozen in the rain, staring at the building. Every part of me wanted to leave, to get back in my car and pretend none of this had ever happened. But I was too deep into it now. My father had led me here for a reason, and someone else was already inside. I started walking. The closer I got, the more abandoned the place looked. Broken glass, peeling paint, weeds climbing the walls. Yet somehow, there were fresh footprints in the mud leading to the front door. Not old, not washed out by rain. Fresh. Someone had entered the building within the last hour. I pushed the door open. The rusty hinges screamed. Inside smelled like mildew and dust. The lobby was dark except for faint light coming from deeper inside. Rows of old filing cabinets lined the walls. Most had been emptied years ago. Papers littered the floor. The place looked like it had been searched. Not cleaned out, searched. I moved carefully through the hallway. Every step echoed. Then I heard it. A noise. Somewhere upstairs. A floorboard creaking. I stopped breathing. Whoever was here was still here. My phone vibrated. A new voice message. I quickly pressed play. My father's voice came through immediately. Ethan, listen carefully. I leaned against the wall. If you're inside the office, don't go upstairs. I glanced toward the staircase at the end of the hall. My stomach tightened. Why? I whispered. The recording continued. They want you looking up. A chill ran through me. Look down. The message ended. I stared at the floor. At first I saw nothing, just old tiles covered in dirt. Then I noticed one tile was slightly raised, barely noticeable, like someone had lifted it before. I crouched down, slid my fingers underneath, and pulled. The tile came free. Beneath it was a small metal container. Hidden, forgotten, waiting. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a cassette tape, a keycard, and a folded newspaper clipping. I unfolded the clipping carefully. The Headline nearly made me drop it. Local men disappear during excavation project. The article was dated 23 years ago. The same year, the same case, the same mystery. There were 4 names listed. My father's was one of them. But what caught my attention wasn't the names. It was the photograph, because standing in the background, partially hidden behind the group, was the same hooded man I'd seen outside the locker. My pulse spiked. That wasn't possible. The picture was over 2 decades old. The man should have aged, changed, something. But he looked exactly the same. Then a loud crash came from upstairs. I jumped to my feet. Another crash, closer this time, followed by slow footsteps, walking toward the staircase. Whoever was up there had just realized I wasn't alone. The footsteps stopped. Everything went silent, too silent. I stood frozen in the hallway, gripping the metal container I had pulled from beneath the floor. Whoever was upstairs knew I was here, and now they were listening. My phone buzzed. A text from the unknown number. Leave now. A second text appeared. He knows you found the tape. My stomach dropped. I looked toward the ceiling. No more footsteps, no more movement, just silence. I wasn't staying. I shoved the cassette tape, keycard, and newspaper clipping into my jacket and headed for the exit. The rain hit hard the moment I stepped outside. I ran to my car and locked the doors. Only then did I look at the cassette tape. Written on the label were 3 words. If I disappear. My father's handwriting. I drove straight home, the entire way. I couldn't stop checking my mirrors. Twice I thought I saw headlights following me. Twice they vanished. When I finally reached home, I went straight to the garage. After digging through old boxes, I found an ancient cassette player my father used years ago. I inserted the tape, pressed play. Static filled the room. Then my father's voice came through. Younger, clearer, calmer. If you're hearing this, something happened to me. My pulse quickened. The recording continued. 23 years ago, 4 of us were hired for an excavation project outside town. A pause. We thought we were searching for old mining records. Paper shuffled somewhere in the background. We were wrong. My father's voice lowered. We found something buried. I leaned closer. A structure. The tape crackled, hidden deep underground. Every hair on my arm stood up. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. We weren't the first people to find it. I froze. The room suddenly felt smaller, colder. The recording continued. When we opened the entrance, a long pause. Someone was already inside. Static burst through the speaker. Then the tape abruptly stopped. Click. Silence. I stared at the player, because I knew one thing. Whoever was inside that underground chamber was connected to everything, and somehow, they knew my father had talked. The tape ended, but I couldn't move. That final line kept looping in my head. Someone was already inside. I replayed it again and again, but the cassette was silent now, just dead air. I sat there in the garage, staring at the player like it might start talking again on its own, but it didn't. The rain outside slowed into a soft tapping against the roof. For a moment, everything felt still, too still. Then my phone buzzed. I didn't even jump this time. I was starting to get used to it. Unknown number, no message, just a photo. I opened it, and my stomach dropped instantly. It was the hooded man, standing in front of the storage facility. The same one I had just left, but this photo wasn't taken earlier. It was taken right now, because in the background, I could see my car, parked exactly where I left it. My breath caught. I looked out the garage window. Nothing. No movement. No person. But I knew he was close. I grabbed the key card from the envelope and studied it again. Faded numbers. A location code. Something about it felt familiar, like I had seen it before, but couldn't place where. I opened my father's folder again and spread everything out on the floor. Photographs, newspaper clippings, old reports. Then I saw it. A matching code on one of the excavation documents. Same sequence, same symbol stamped beside it, but there was something else I hadn't noticed before. A handwritten note in the margin. Subject does not match recorded age progression. I felt my skin go cold. I reread it, slower this time. Does not match age progression. I grabbed the photo of the hooded man again, zoomed in, studied his face. Same posture, same presence, same stillness. And then I realized something impossible. If this photo was taken 23 years ago, he should look older, different, changed. But he didn't. He looked exactly the same. My phone buzzed again. Another text. This time it had a location attached. The old excavation site. The same place from the tape. The same place my father warned me about. And beneath it, a final message. He never left. I stared at it for a long time. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. One ring. I answered. No static this time, just silence. Then a voice came through. Slow, calm, right in my ear. You've been listening to the wrong recordings. My grip tightened. The voice continued. Your father didn't disappear because he ran. A pause. He disappeared because he was left behind. The line went dead. I stood there staring at my phone. Because now I understood something I didn't want to understand. My father wasn't the one being chased in this story. He was the one who escaped, and someone else was still waiting for the rest of them to return. I didn't sleep. I just sat there replaying the same words over and over. He disappeared because he was left behind. By sunrise, I was already in my car, driving, not because I wanted to, because I felt like I had to. The old excavation site was about an hour outside town, past roads that barely looked maintained anymore. The closer I got, the worse the signal on my phone became. Until eventually, nothing. No service, just static bars, like the place didn't want anything coming in or going out. The road ended at a broken fence. Beyond it was open land. Trees swallowed the edges of what used to be an active dig site. Now it looked like nature had tried to erase it, but not completely. There were still signs, old warning posts, rusting equipment half buried in dirt, and something worse, fresh tire tracks. I parked and stepped out. The air felt different here, heavier, like it had been sitting untouched for too long. I followed the fresh tire tracks into the concrete structure. The deeper I went, the colder the air became. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness. Every footstep echoed through the abandoned corridors. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Only static. Then a voice whispered, "Turn back, Ethan." The call ended. I kept moving. The corridor opened into a massive underground room. Dust-covered monitors lined the walls. Filing cabinets stood open. Everything looked abandoned. Then a television flickered to life. I froze. The screen showed me digging beneath the office floor. Another showed me finding the photographs. Another showed me listening to the cassette tape in my father's garage. My heart started racing. Every step of my journey was playing across the screens. Someone had been watching me. Then I noticed a date. June 22, 2026. The numbers suddenly changed. June 22, 1996. A chill ran through me. My flashlight swept across a wall covered in scratches. Thousands of tally marks stretched from floor to ceiling. Between them were messages carved into the concrete. I tried to leave. It always starts again. Don't trust him. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, deliberate. I turned. A hooded figure stood in the doorway. The same figure from the photographs. The same figure I had been chasing. The figure lowered his hood. An older man stared back at me. His face looked worn by years of fear. "You finally made it." I took a step back. "Who are you?" The man glanced at the monitors. "I worked here. With your father." My stomach tightened. "Where is he?" The man's expression darkened. "He never disappeared." My eyes widened. "What do you mean?" The man pointed toward a steel door. He sealed himself inside. I rushed to the door and pulled it open. Inside was a small room, a desk, a chair, a tape recorder, and a photograph. It showed me as a child standing beside my father. I turned it over. Written on the back were the words, "If Ethan finds this, I've already failed." Suddenly, the tape recorder clicked on. My father's voice filled the room. "Ethan, if you're hearing this, then you ignored every warning." I froze. The man outside wasn't chasing you. He was protecting you. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. His voice continued, "Because what's behind the second door should never be opened." I slowly turned. A massive reinforced door stood hidden in the wall behind me. A door I hadn't noticed before. The facility groaned. Warning lights flashed red. Dust fell from the ceiling. Somewhere deep below, something moved. A heavy metallic sound echoed through the darkness. Then came my father's final words. "I never disappeared, Ethan." A long pause followed. Then one final sentence. "I'm what's behind that door." The lights went out. Darkness swallowed everything. A loud thud echoed from the other side of the door. Then another. Then silence.